All right, good morning, sleepyheads. Where you at? Type 1 if you're a sleepyhead. Type 2 if you would rather be on the beach, where this music would be naturally playing on speakers around you. It's an episode of White Lotus, right? All right, hope you guys are doing well. The blog on this early Saturday morning. I'm with meteorologist Brian Goode. Carson is out this weekend, so you're going to see a lot of faces here this weekend. Ryan will be here tonight, Tawana tomorrow morning, and Kevin tomorrow night. So it takes 4 of us to replace Carson on the weekend. But I hope he's enjoying his weekend off. That's the important thing, right? All right, I hope you guys are well. I'm going not to go too far into the weeds on the storms as of late. We'll be handling in our newscast. I'm going to spend some time with you all just trying to, just get to the basics here today, guys. What is going on this weekend? What are some of the factors we're watching out for? How much dry time are you going to have? Are you going to be able to get out in the yard? That kind of stuff. And then, yes, we'll look and see how things are evolving for June. As we've already seen a taste already in the 10-day. You may have already noticed that we're getting back to a lot of those lightning bolts in the 10-day, right? And is that going to be an all-day rain? Is that going to be a flooding scenario, severe thunderstorms, the tropics can get involved? There's a lot. So I don't want to give you a whole lot of whiplash here, but at least want to give you at least where we stand today on this. It's not all bad. It's really not all bad. But you can comment on the social media side if you need to. Several of you there already. Olivia, good morning, Brian. Heading out in a bit to do some headstone cleaning at a local cemetery. Well, that is very nice of you. That's important, especially after visiting the headstones that I have to several times a year. That is a very nice gesture there. Praying for good weather. I have a ton to get done. Yeah, a lot of us do, right? And you just don't need one day. You need like 3 or 4 days of nice weather to get things accomplished. The farmers need the hay to dry out so they can start cutting it. So there are a lot of things that this weather pattern is hurting us on that we need to get. You need to get it together is what I'm trying to say, so we can enjoy some warmer weather and get all of our agenda items done before it's next thing we know, it's October and we're just now starting on our summer plans. I wanted to show you this. Well, I wanted to show you this, but unfortunately it is covered up by cloud cover. But a very hazy sun this morning. We talked about before with that Canadian wildfire smoke that is flying overhead today and tomorrow. You have another chance for a sunset that could be very pretty tonight, and you got a nice sunset tomorrow, sunrise tomorrow that could be awesome based on some of the timing here. But what a pretty shot that is. And again, looked really eerie this morning. Was a little closer to the horizon. This is not low enough to cause air quality alerts to come out. Everyone's choking smelling smoke. It's not like that from a few years ago. This is elevated wildfire smoke coming from Canada, but it does affect certainly the sky as far as hazy sunshine and certainly the sunrises and sunsets. Always love seeing that. I think it's kind of something different to look at outside. All right, here's a look at satellite. I can't show you the visible this early in the day because I'm on so early, so you don't see that very often. But we do have at least some clouds, obviously, blocking my camera, that are drifting overhead. But these are very much mid-level clouds. Not a whole lot to these. They're just kind of drifting around. They're not completely connected in many cases in the sky. They're just kind of in clumps. So you're going to get some sunshine here today. But there are no doubt angled like they are because there is that boundary that is acting like a snow shovel and is trying to scoop up the moisture and then shove it down to the southwest, moving backwards across one side of wave country today to the other. Now, the question we've got is, okay, that's fair. All right, we've had backdoor fronts before. How fast are you going to move? Let us know because this is key. All right, this backdoor front, we just needed to give us a signal of how far to the south and west can it punch, because this low is really attached to it. If you were to draw the front, it actually is the curl that is attached to the low pressure that came through the tornado yesterday into Washington County, Kentucky. So it's really its mercy, because if this slows down a bit and doesn't really fully connect off, it should just kind of swipe down. It'll tilt and swipe away from the main low, and then it would just be more, if I were to draw it, it would be like this, and then it would tilt down like this, and then tilt down like this, and then wash away off the map completely. But if it does not get to these two levels here of turning, then it may just get stuck in that one that's a little closer to I-65. There's not a lot of model support for that idea. There are some that want to hint at that, but the majority of them want to keep tilting it away from us to where that's why we're saying that Sunday will be the better pick day of the 2 days. It's a minor issue overall, but you guys pay attention to everything we say on those minor details. So I just want to point out what we're looking at. Here's where we've got the front drawn today. It really won't wake up until we have a good hour or two of heating. In fact, maybe 3 hours of heating before it'll have a chance to fire any shower or thunderstorm activity. So it will take a bit of time, but as I mentioned, it is heading to the west. You can look at the moisture profile. Yeah, there's some with it, even behind the front. It's kind of ragged, but there are some moisture pooling there going on around the front. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be all in front of it, but in general, that's the zone to watch for some scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm. The thunderstorm side is not to the point of producing severe. I will say that there is enough shear with this to produce at least a strong wind gust out of this. There's enough shear involved and decent lapse rates here to allow for small hail again. So we're not looking at a tornado outbreak, but there could be storms that were similar to yesterday where they could be a little loud with lightning, maybe some pea-sized hail, especially the stronger ones. I'm thinking right now, if they were to fire, they would be in a zone roughly like this, very close to Louisville, but more so central Kentucky down toward especially southern and southeast Kentucky. If they're going to fire, they will likely fire there. There's just a higher moisture content in that area, especially from heavy rain as of late. So that may help higher them up late afternoon. So otherwise, I don't see much happening behind that other than maybe a shower or two. I'll show you Futurecast on this in a second. Here's a wider view showing where we are looking at that moisture level. Wait a minute. This is not what I want to show. Hold on. There it is. There's the smoke. And you can see the darker gray indicates where it is a little more pronounced. You saw how it dropped in this morning. And as we evolve throughout the day on Sunday, so it will continue to move in. Now, this is the clock's kind of wrong here. But this really will be Saturday and Sunday morning that this fog would just settle in. Or the smoke will be settling straight in from Canada, straight on down, falling right head up front, right into the Ohio Valley. So there you go. Thank you, Canada, for bringing us at least some pretty sunrises and sunsets. Okay, let's get right into Futurecast. If you can't tell, I'm like tired, so I'm not making any sense today. That's normal though. Here's Futurecast showing hour by hour, and strong start today with sunshine. There's the front. Tries to fire thunderstorms up, but it's late afternoon and evening that it does so. the graph model really has hardly anything. Some of the other high reses light up with thunderstorm cells all up and down the line. I kind of like what the graph is doing. I don't know if it's going to have a whole lot to work with, but as I outlined, if there's an area to watch, I think it could be right here in central Kentucky, just because, again, you have much more of a moisture content, a lot of what we call ET. Moisture transport is happening, so there is enough that could feed some showers and storms, especially eastern and southeast Kentucky today. Okay, they won't last long, so don't panic. They'll be fading away at midnight and be out of our hair. And as I mentioned, as we head into the day tomorrow, we'll keep all that fuel and thunderstorm potential way back to the west. We'll be on the edge of it here, but boy, that doesn't matter. We're going to be in Goldilocks zone for your Sunday. We are going to start off chilly. We're still looking at 40s for tonight. Is it today? Saturday? Yeah. 40s for tonight, 40s for tomorrow morning as well. So a chilly night tonight, and I'm hoping that's the last of the 40s for the season. And based on the numbers I've seen, that's likely the case. But still, a cool start today on Sunday, but very, very pleasant. But windy. It will be windy for Sunday. Okay, we're done with that. That moves out of here. Blah, blah, blah. We'll enjoy a nice Monday as well, getting back into the 80s. Then we get into this whole setup for the end of the week and how that's going to play out, as we've got multiple low pressures trying their best to take a cold front that is here into the plains and try to at least lay it down as the train tracks somewhere in the Ohio River Valley. And then once the train tracks have been established, then these multiple lows will feed. They'll be dropping down. Each one will kind of curl into that front over and over and over again. And each time they do, there will be an enhanced potential to get severe weather. And then when they leave us, the front's still around, generating thunderstorms, but the severe risk will be low. So there'll be a one period of time where it's just raining and a scattering of storms, some sunshine mixed in, not too bad, but very, very humid. And then another low comes on by and then brings up the severe discussion again, and then it leaves. All of that will be timed out. I'm seeing at least 4 different impulses, 4 different lows that will influence this train track starting late Wednesday to Thursday, and it may take until the weekend, if not even into the following week, to see that shake a bit and get out of that pattern. So that's going to keep us busy for sure, because I know I'm giving you the broad brush details, but it does get quite complex down the road. So at least we'll let you know meteorologically what we are looking at. But I'll walk you through it. Here's Futurecast by Wednesday. Wednesday daytime, I think, is going to be okay. There's been a bit of a slowing on the arrival of the high pressure here that you can't see, located to the south and east of us. Should be strong enough to fight the front initially, but unfortunately, it does find a weak spot, and the front will take over and begin to lay down the boundaries in the Ohio Valley. Then once that happens, again, those low pressures just kind of track right along them in a repeated fashion of showers and some thunderstorms. One way we'll be tracking that is by looking at the jet stream, and I've tried to add on the areas where warmer weather will be as well. But here's a look at the jet stream. I'll kind of play this out. This is where, you know, when you have the jet over you and enhances a bit more, that's where you're going to get some of your stronger thunderstorms at play. We get into June 8th. On Sunday, I'm looking way ahead here. Here's June 10th. And whoops, and then it stopped. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me backtrack. Hold on 1 second. Where did I do with it? Hit one too many buttons today. I figured I would. And I'll get to your questions. I promise. Just a second. I just want to explain this. I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to kind of go slow with it. Okay, so backtracking here for tomorrow into Monday, you can see the jet starts to show up in that blue and green area. And once it gets established, that'll be the train track we're going to be looking at. And each time those colors enhance over our area, that's when we could get the chance for some thunderstorms to roll through. So we can't really pinpoint any alert day potential right now, or any one area that severe weather will be more prominent than others as far as day periods. It's just going to be hard to get it out of this without having an alert day. But we need to get specifics, and we don't want to just put one out the same because, the threat's there. So we're going to throw 4 alert days out. We're not going to do that. We need a little more support than that. But I do think this pattern certainly has the potential for one to get issued, maybe more than one. just stay tuned and we'll keep you updated. I know this is not what farmers want to see. We don't want this wet pattern continuing too long. It makes it difficult to get out in the field. For your gardens out there, you're loving all the rain, but it's also hard to enjoy it being outside, especially with all the events that keep happening. If you're south and east, though, really of the Ohio Valley, it's going to be an issue of the warmer weather really being locked in more for the areas of the southeast corner of the country. There's been some discussion of whether or not the tropics could get involved, and I'm saying the same thing here. Don't buy into data indicating there's going to be a hurricane coming into the area or anything like that at the end of the period here. The amount of shear that we're seeing coming in this area is going to be fairly strong. It's going to be really tough to get any complex to organize, but it will allow for some of that tropical moisture to get fed in our area. I think that's the most important thing, as getting tropical moisture in the air. Will we get anything in tropics in general that could get named? Well, that's going to take some time. We'll see what it looks like in a week. Fair enough? All right, we get to the 10-day. That was my Saturday ramble today, and boy, I rambled. But at least you have an idea of what we're going through here. Joe, do you think we'll skip a drought this summer? We could, but boy, I've said so many times, you can do this into even July. You can go through July and have this pattern get stuck of these rainier days, and then suddenly you get to September, late August, September, into October with hardly any rainfall, and then you will go into a drought status entering the upcoming winter. But it can flip on you, and if you go into a drought too fast, even in September, in parts of October, you can still get heat waves in the 90s with that kind of a setup. So I never say never. I will at least give you a bit of hope in the idea that we are not expecting a huge signal in our El Nino type pattern, ENSO pattern back into the eastern Pacific. I don't see that being rapid one way or another. I think we're going to that neutral phase. So it is going to be a gradual ending to what we're going through. I don't think it's going to be abrupt. So that would give me a little more hope that we would be able to avoid a drought. If we start to see this signal flip rapidly to get ready for the winter, say we had La Nina and it's going to flip to El Nino rapidly, that would worry me that we may go into a drought. But this year, there's not any one part of that Eastern Pacific element that's in control. So I think we may ease out of this versus abruptly end. So maybe we can escape one altogether, Joe. When we have consistent clear skies, your best opportunity, it looks like, to be Monday, but you got to keep in mind, to get a perfectly clear sky, you're going to need more than likely cool air for one, sinking air. You're going to need a high pressure right over you, the big blue H right over you, and not much moisture in the air. You need it to be very, very dry. That's how you get your pretty blue skies and comfortable weather. If you have any type of rise in motion from heating of the day and there's any moisture still in the air, it will develop a partly cloudy sky. You can still enjoy being out. It's going to be pretty out when it happens, but it's hard in the summertime to avoid that. But you may get it. Monday may be the day. It may be. Dew points are pretty low Monday. Hey, Joe, I managed to leave Minneapolis this week just ahead of the smoke. Looks like you guys might be trying to send some storminess my way here in North Carolina. Yeah, we're very friendly that way. We like to, we get smoke from Canada. We appreciate it. We wrap it up, and then we re-gift it. That's thunderstorms for areas down the road. Let's see. Good morning, Janice. Good morning, Gamer. How you doing? There are still fields that are flooded. Yeah, Ashley, we're hearing from them. I mean, they're sending us messages saying we need a stretch of dry to get out and in the field with our equipment and to be able to cut the hay. It's tough. It's tough to get a decent stretch. If you can avoid the rain today, and many will, then your stretch could be today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and maybe part of Wednesday. That's decent, right? That's good. Enough drying of the field and get out there and do some cutting. It's one of the drier stretches in warm weather we've had for a while. But unfortunately, once we get past Wednesday, it's going to be a daily threat that showers and storms will enter the picture. I'm not saying it's going to rain every day on that 10-day. And because it's very stagnant, there's not a lot of movement in the highs and the lows. I didn't want to get too cute with like a 78 one day and a 79 one day and then 80, then a 78. I know you guys don't care about those specifics of 1 degree. So I put 80s across the board. John Belsky taught me this, but in a 10-day trend, especially in the extended, put the number. And if it's a repeating number, just be honest. Like, look, I'm putting that same number down, not because I'm lazy. I'm putting the same number down because I want you to get the idea that not a whole lot's going to change. It's going to be the repeating forecast every day. And I'm hoping you guys get that sense too when you see that constant temperature outlook and rain outlook in the extended. We don't do that as so much in the short term, just long term, because that's what 10 days were designed for, are trends, not to be specific forecast. They've evolved differently over the years, but that's what they were designed for. And I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that. I think it's simple for you to digest. If you're in a hurry and looking at the 10-day, you get it, and you can go on with your day. Ben, how concerned are you about severe weather, the severe signal with this upcoming setup? There will be some wind energy. You saw the jet at times getting close. So I think these are going to be, and I don't know the specifics yet because it's a mess. It's so messy right now and it's so far out. But just even by looking at some of the early soundings, I like to look ahead to kind of get an idea of where this is going to go. I take a lot of screenshots too of models this far out, and I store them. And then when we get to the event, I go back and look and see, okay, which model did well in this scenario so that I can pay more attention and learn from its mistakes and its flaws and then help for the next time. And I've already started collecting data on next week, but there are some signals that show up on severe, but the very next run, it's gone completely. So severe confidence is low, and that's why we don't have an alert day flagged. It's that it's just too messy. You're getting into a tropical setup for next week. You're going to have an influence from the Gulf coming into play. So now you have to deal with a lot of heavy rain at times, a lot of loud thunder. More of your downburst winds become an issue, straight line downburst type winds versus tornadoes. So it's a little different, a severe threat that will evolve. Very much what they would be facing in, say, Minnesota this time of year. Brian, on before 8 a.m. sounds like bad news. No, I'm just filling in for Carson today, so I'm on early. I'll be back on TV here in about 20 minutes to help work out for the shows. We're all kind of stretched thin around here, so if we all don't make sense or we all start getting sleepy, then you know why. Anyone else? Any questions at all? I feel like an auctioneer. Anyone else? Last chance. $4.99. Austin. No alert days. Thank goodness y'all deserve a break. Well, we need a break, but at the same time, we're glad we've been here because it helps us relax when we have time off, knowing that, we were here, we try not to miss anything. We try to get everything exactly right as we possibly can. It doesn't always go exactly the way we think it will. It never does. It's weather, right? It's always say it's the X factor and the chaos theory. No meteorologist is right and accurate all the time. It's impossible. I don't care what they say. They can say it for a promo and get everyone excited. They can say it mentally to you all to where you all think that all the time by them repeating it. But I'm realistic. There's no such thing. So we all have our flaws. But boy, we try. We try to be as accurate as we can, and we try to be there for you all the time. That is nothing. You guys are number one in our minds every day that we decide to forecast in our plan today. You are number one. How do we help you and take care of you? And I mean, I'm not just viewers, you all. How do we take care of you with streams? How do we get to you all and spend time with you all and answer those questions? So you guys are always in our mind. So we appreciate y'all always coming on here to spend time with us because we do want to talk to you. Hey, Sue-Ann, is today's severe weather chance? No, it's not. It's a good question because I did look at some pieces of data that indicated maybe some small hail. There was some that indicated some cloud to ground lightning but it was more so in that area of south central Kentucky and to near Lexington. Hard to get specific on counties, but it was just a brief uptick that there could be some small hail and gusty winds with a few of them, but I didn't see anything like yesterday. The wind direction is different on these thunderstorm cells today because of the backwards front. These do not have that southeast wind component, which is what you don't want in a tornado. And that southeast wind component is what really sealed the fate for Washington County. It was hinted all the way through LaRue and Greene, wasn't quite matching up. We kept seeing that the wind field was wavering, and then you get into Washington, and all of a sudden the southeast wind component got introduced, and boy, it didn't take long. Those are the things we look for. We talked about that the day before. If you were watching here in the blog, we were pulling soundings right out of the area down there and saying, look at that southeast wind. I drew it on here saying, look at that southeast wind on this model. That is what has us worried about tomorrow, as in yesterday, and had us worried that there could be some rotation with these and an isolated tornado could develop, but it wouldn't be a widespread for everyone. But that particular zone in our southern counties, we had the heads up on it. And I just hope that the messaging got out, because that worries me. But today, I'm not seeing a repeat of that, no. Details on the smoke, how long will it be around? It'll take until we flip the air direction around. Right now, we're going to get in a northerly wind. Once we switch the wind around to a southerly, which will be Monday, will be the transition day, we get back to a south wind, and it's the heat and humidity built in, but also the moisture for thunderstorms. So that's why we flip that to get into a summer pattern, but we can only get a day or two of that. And then eventually you get so much heat and humidity that any front that comes by, thunderstorms react to it. So it's like always a careful balance. But the pools will be fun early next week. They'll be packed. They'll feel better, a lot better too. Is July looking hot? Yeah, I think July is going to be a hotter month. Yeah. I mean, this jet setup, these lows diving in like this is very unusual to have it all the way through June. I think it'll last a good chunk of June, but eventually the jet itself and these strong, I mean, these Bermuda highs can get very strong. And once they start building up and getting stronger and stronger, they're going to start pushing everything away from us. And then we get into those, as we say right here, the doldrums of summer, or you just get into the nonstop 90s every single day, and hot and humid. But you guys know right here, usually our hottest weather is during close to the state fair time and September sometimes. We've dealt with some 90s several times in September. So summer right here usually does happen, but it doesn't always fall within the lines on paper. End of the questions. I'm trying to read your writing, so I'm sorry. Crispy, what is making the SPC marginal up to Louisville right now? The threat be south and east, if the threat is south and east of us, in your opinion. I think it's really, they're going to be adjusting this in about 30 minutes or so. We'll see what they do in 30 minutes. They're just accounting for it going up the front, that leading edge, where that moisture, it's really where areas, again, had some of the higher rainfall totals. I think that is adding in just enough where you can get some of those cells to allow them to power up to produce maybe some hail and some gusty winds. That is their thinking process of why they drew it. Now, I think it's going to be a little more ragged. I don't think it's going to be able to build all the way up and down the front. I think it's going to be very spotty. But as I drew, I do think that area of Kentucky, not quite sold on it going toward Louisville, but it would be generally, though, in that area of central and east Kentucky that, yes, a marginal risk does make sense to get a shoot. So that is my opinion. I think it's fair, but they may start trimming it at times in about 30 minutes. All right. You guys are good. Everyone good? Any plans? What are you guys doing this weekend? You going out partying? You going out cookouts? What are you doing this weekend? Let us know as I show you the 10-day full here. I don't know if we're going to get to 90, guys, with this wave. It's going to be tough. We're so green. A lot of humidity will be building in. It's just going to be really tough. If we were dry for days and days and days, then I would be sold on 90 or higher. But in this kind of a pattern, nah, I am not sold on that. It's going to be warm, don't get me wrong, but we may have to wait until one of our later 90-degree days of the year this year. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that other than Stephen Decker. Is he on here? Stephen Decker will complain about that, but that's about the only one. Piecing quilts and doing laundry. Jacob is doing T-ball graduation today. All right. Danny's doing Red Mile in the Lexington Music Festival. All right. Wow, you guys sound so much cooler than I am. So much cooler. All right, I'll stop today. I'm going to get ready for the show. I'm running behind here, as always. But I just want to say hello. Happy Saturday. Want you guys to have a good morning. Stay safe. Enjoy the quiet weekend. And just keep it on those storms. Again, if you're going to be out today and this afternoon, especially in Kentucky, skies get a little threatening. Check the wave weather app, see where we are on any alerts that may be coming out, because I can't rule it out. But other than that, Sunday looks awesome. So does Monday. And you know what? We'll worry about next week later. Once I'm back in here next week on Monday, we'll dive into the stormier setup, hopefully with more specifics at that point. Fair enough? All right. Take care, everyone. I will see you coming up on the flip side.